Hi, my name's Cooper Wood and today I'll be analysing the kinetic chain involved in throwing a discus. I'll be looking at an example professional discus thrower and then comparing this to my own throw, highlighting the areas of the concept that can be improved to improve overall performance. For the discus throw, we can see our professional athlete utilising a large amount of muscle groups to maximise force to propel the discus as far as possible. Throwing the discus requires your muscles to exert the most amount of force in the shortest time possible to engage your fast twitch muscle fibres to produce force. While one group of muscles contracts, the opposing group extends. Through the selection of this muscle recruitment, the athlete can utilise the correct muscle groups in relation to his particular action. Firstly, I'll be looking at the example of professional athlete and breaking down his muscle recruitment and kinetic chain throughout the different phases of his throw. During the start and wind-up phase, the example athlete starts in a balanced position with his feet shoulder width apart, hips flexed, knees slightly bent, and his pivot foot in a plantar flex position as he flexes his gastrocnemius. His torso is extended 90 degrees from the back of the ring as he prepares to throw in an anti-clockwise movement. We can see that his chin is aligned with his left shoulder, which aligns with his right knee and ankle. Conversely, his throwing arm is extended towards the back of the body, with the discus aligning with his pivot foot to counteract the weight transfer in his lead foot. Secondly, in the rotational movement phase, we see a weight shift to the left side. The right leg begins to sweep around the back of the circle, remaining long as the foot leads the sweeping action. Here we can see the athlete's kinetic chain aligning as his left shoulder aligns with the left knee and ankle to create balance. The shoulders remain level with the discus behind the right hip, and his left arm stays inside his left knee, preparing for the drive portion of the throw. Thirdly, for the power position, the left leg pushes off out the back of the circle to add more velocity before landing on the right leg into the power position. We can see here that the kinetic chain is working effectively to gather as much force and velocity as possible to send the discus. The athlete's head, right shoulder, hip, knee, foot in a straight line as he lands into the power position. Due to his correct form of kinetic chain, the athlete creates an orbit for the discus, which will further add to the velocity of the throw. Lastly, in the delivery of his throw, his shoulders rotate forward, trailing the lower limbs to create a long pull on the discus. The athlete's pectoral muscles contract to bring the discus across the upper body into the release. His rotator cuff and right triceps contract to lift and extend the throwing arm. The trapezius, teres major and minor, and the latissimus dorsi muscles contract as the discus is brought back, then extend through to the release of the throw. Therefore, we can clearly see throughout the entirety of this professional athlete's throw, his kinetic chain is always relatively aligned, so the athlete remains balanced as he continually counteracts the changes in his centre of mass to allow the appropriate summation of forces to take place for an effective and efficient throw to occur. Next, I will analyse my discus throwing technique and make note on some improvements that can take place in terms of my muscle recruitment and my kinetic chain utilisation. In the first start and wind-up phase, we can see already that my kinetic chain is not aligned as my weight distribution is unevenly spread so that all my weight is above my right ankle and foot. My pivot foot is in more of a track start than a discus start, causing my body to be in an unstable position. Instead of my torso being straight and rotated 90 degrees, I am facing downwards, looking directly behind me. Improvements could be made through bringing my left foot forward, straightening my back and torso, and spinning an extra 90 degrees clockwise to generate greater velocity and force when entering my rotational movement phase. My pectoral muscles and bicep brachii could be further extended, so when I release the discus, the stretch shortening cycle is more effective. Now, during my rotational movement phase, we can see my left shoulder is aligned with my left knee and hip, however my head is out of alignment with my body as it is leaned too far backwards. Moreover, my upper body is ahead of my lower body, disallowing an orbit and a long pull of the discus to be created. I could improve this part of the throw through allowing my lower limbs to spin through the throw first, with my shoulders and arms following afterwards. To do this, I need to utilise my abdominal muscles to control the turn and utilise gravity to assist force propulsion and velocity. There is a minimal utilisation through the glutes and hamstrings, which can be improved through performing drills that utilise hip drive. In the release phase of the throw, we can see that my right shoulder is aligned with my left ankle, however I do not follow through with my throw. This lack of follow-through decreases the efficiency of my throw and the discus ends up going far right instead of being thrown straight. It is clear that improvements need to be made through making my movements more coherent to provide support to the kinetic chaining of my movements.